Welcome back to Odelia Vlogs. Today we are continuing with Module 1, Part 2 because Module 1 is very lengthy. We have to complete it in 4 parts. So in this part I am going to teach the following contents: mining, effects of mining, dams, effect of dams and water resources. First of all, we can know what is mining. Mining is the extraction of minerals and metals from the earth. For mining to be done, trees and vegetation are cleared and burned. So what happens is that the whole place will be desertified. So we can study in detail the effects of mining. First one is deforestation. Once the trees and plants are cut, the forest will be no more existing, and even not only in the forest, wherever we are living, there will be a lot of trees, and if they are cut, pollution occurs. We can't, the climatic changes will occur, the exhaust from the motor vehicles and all, that all will cause air pollution, and also there will be water pollution, and every types of pollutions will be there. So deforestation we have already studied in part 1, so I'm not going to discuss that further. We can go to the second effect, that is soil erosion. Mining causes erosion when it strips an area of vegetation such as trees and plants. The roots of trees and plants are essential to keep the soil in its place. Without trees and plants, there is nothing to keep the soil from being dispersed and eroded by the wind. So what happens is that the negative impact, the top soil which is very rich and fertile will be eroded, and which will affect the agriculture of that region. Third point is contamination and alteration of soil profiles. The soil near a mine will be always polluted by the toxic substances. The waste from the mines and all these are all contaminate the whole area. Next is contamination of local streams and wetlands. These contaminated toxic substances move into the rivers, streams, and all when the rain pours down heavily, and thereby the streams will be contaminated. The last one is increase in noise level, dust and emissions. Near a mine, there will be lot of dust, lot of toxic emissions, and also there will be loud noises and all, which will cause noise pollution. And now we can go to the next slide, dams. A dam is a barrier that restricts or stops the flow of surface water or underground streams. The reservoirs created by dams not only suppress flood but also provide water for activities such as irrigation, human consumption, industrial use, aquaculture, and river navigation, which is a recreation facility. Next, we can know the positive effects of dams. Recreation. We all visited dam. Why? We will get such a recreation there. No. Flood control. Floods can be easily controlled by building dams. Next is water storage. Next comes, we know water storage, Mullaperia Dam, Idukki Dam, these are all having huge reservoirs of water there. Then irrigation for agriculture. The water from the dams will be easily available through canals, and that will give the farmers a relief. Next is electricity generation. Hydroelectricity generation is a big advantage, and the hydroelectricity has no pollution to the atmosphere. That is a wonderful advantage of hydroelectricity. Next is debris control. Debris control, that is sedimentation of these silts and all, silts and these dams. What happens is that the dams will protect the environment from the hazardous materials due to this sedimentation and this silts, and also the debris control is maintained. And I think this is enough for the positive effects of dams. Now we can come to the negative effects of dams. Dams have a lot of negative effects, and that we'll study in the next module. Now here we have to study the effects of dams on forest and tribal people. Okay, submergence of forest land, that is the first important disadvantage for the forest, because once the dams are constructed, the forests are all cut down and there will be submergence of the forest land. No more the forest land will exist. Next is devastation of forest. Again the same. Devastation of forest means again the trees are cut down and the wildlife will be affected, the fauna will be affected, and these animals will have to be replaced in zoos and all, and that all will cause the devastation of forest. Because of these dams construction, every ecosystem in the forest will be disrupted. Next, prone to floods, droughts, and landslides. Whenever a dam is there, that area is prone to floods. We always hear Idiki Dam, Vellaperiya Dam, these are all under threat, and also we have seen in the television. Droughts will occur, landslides will occur. The next is loss of biodiversity. What is biodiversity? Let me tell you. It's the amount of different species living in one ecosystem at one time. Biodiversity is important because it keeps the ecosystems stable and healthy. So once a dam is built, there will be a loss of biodiversity. Silent Valley, Palakkad, once the government was ready to build a dam there, but the people protested because they wanted to preserve the biodiversity of Silent Valley. Next is loss of species. A lot of species, plants, medicinal plants are there, then timber. These are all okay, but still animal species. What happens once the animal species will be lost? That is also a serious effect of this dams in forest. Next is loss of soil fertility, because I told you earlier in soil erosion, once the trees are cut, soil will be eroded and the top fertile soil will be eroded washed away by the wind, and then agriculture will be affected. And the last and the most suffering people are the tribal people, because when the dams are constructed, they will resist to these changes, but they will have to be displaced. They will be made displaced from the forest to some other area, and that is a much disadvantage on the tribal people. Okay. Next, we can study water resources. We can study in its use, overutilization of surface water and groundwater, floods, droughts, again dams, benefits of dams and problems of dams. First of all, we have to understand what is a water resource. Water resources are natural resources of water which are potentially useful for women. For humans, I'm sorry, women Allah, for humans. So 97% of water on earth is salt water and only 3% is fresh water. You understood? 97% of water is salt water and only 3% is fresh water. Remember this word. Slightly 2/3 of this 3% of fresh water is frozen in glaciers and polar ice caps. So how much is remaining? That remaining unfrozen fresh water is only available for our use. So you might be wondering now, no? Okay, now we can study the uses of water resources. First one is agricultural purpose. Second one, industrial purpose, household purpose, recreation facilities, as I said, for navigation, for boating, for scuba diving, a lot of activities using these water resources. Next is environmental activities. We can study what are the sources of fresh water. First one is surface water and the second one is groundwater. Surface water is the water in a river, lake or fresh water wetland. It is naturally replenished by the precipitation and naturally lost through discharge to the oceans by evaporation, evapotranspiration and groundwater recharge. Now we can study what is groundwater. Groundwater is that water which is available in the deepest layers of the earth, which is known as groundwater, and it can be water table, it can be aquifers, and the aquifers are the porous rocks which have certain pores in which water will be present, that will be deep under the earth. So these are all the sources of groundwater. Now we can know the overutilization of surface water and its effects. Decrease in flow of water in rivers. Once we are using the surface water overuse, then the decrease in flow of water in the rivers will occur. Next is drying of ponds and lakes, reduction in wetlands and greenlands. Because of the overutilization of surface water, there will be no wetlands and greenlands. Next, migration of public due to the scarcity of water. People will be scared that there will be no water. We have to migrate from here soon, like that. Next, we have to study the overutilization of groundwater. First one is local water table may reduce. I told you water table is under the earth, deep under the earth, and overuse of this groundwater will reduce the water table's level. Next, chance to intrusion of soil. Even the soil will be intruded because of the overutilization of groundwater. Aquifers of slow recharge rates take thousands of years to get refilled once emptied. Remember, I told you aquifer means the porous rocks that are present deep under the earth, and these porous rocks will have certain pores through which water can be we can get water to the ground, and once these aquifers rates of recharge will be very slow, we will take a lot of years to get refill that aquifers. So it is also another overutilization effect of groundwater. The last one is heavy pumping can reduce the whole aquifer. By heavy pumping of water, what happens is that aquifer will be dried completely. Again, the third point will occur. It will take years to get refilled once emptied. You understood? Now we can study what is a flood. Flood is an overflow of water whenever the magnitude of flow of water exceeds the carrying capacity of the channel within its banks. These floods will occur. Okay. So causes of floods are removal of dense forest cover over the hilly areas. The dense forest cover of the hilly areas are actually a protection. People will cut it down for the development. Development is essential, but still, if we cut it down, over reaction will occur from the mother nature. Mother nature will react. It will as flood as other natural disasters and all. Second one is deforestation, overgrazing, and mining. These are also the reason for flood. When the trees are cut, again the floods will occur. Overgrazing, again the place will be desertified. The floods will occur. The mining also will cause flood. Then prolonged heavy rainfall. That is also a reason for flood. We know whenever there is a prolonged heavy rainfall, the collector will declare a holiday, no, for the students in college and schools. Next, sudden release of water from dams, that all we suffered. When the rain was heavy, the dams water were released very suddenly, and what happened? People were much in trouble. We all know that the incident occurred in Alua, in Pathanamthitta, in Trivandrum, in Kottayam district, everywhere. Next, reduction in carrying capacity of river channels due to the accumulation of debris. Once there is an accumulation of silts and sediments, what happens is that because of this accumulation, the rivers will flow in another way, and that will also cause flood. And not only that, the reduction in carrying capacity of river channels will occur. So it's also another cause of flood. Now we can study the effects of flood. First one is destruction of society in some coastal areas. We have seen in the television channels and a lot of people were suffering in the coastal areas during flood. Next one is submergence of low-lying areas near the rivers. The low-lying areas always submerge once there is a flood. Next one is plain surfaces gets eroded and silted with mud and sand. Most of the houses, once a flood comes, most of the houses will be full of water, and after everything occurs, after that, while cleaning, they can see lot of mud and sand in the house, and how difficult is there for them to clean. So that is another effect of flood. Next is management of floods. How can we manage floods? The first and foremost essential is to construct dams and reservoirs. Second one is channel management and embankments. Again, embankments are created so that floods can be controlled. Next is by forecasting. Once we forecast the weather, where we can know when the flood will come, and according to that we can replace the people from that flood prone areas. Okay. Next, encroachment of flood ways should be banned. The flood ways where there is flood, that place should not be encroached. For example, the fishermen, they are always warned not to go for fishing while the flood is there. So floods, this what they the when they get a signal that flood is to be occurred, the fishermen will be warned not to go. But still, some fishermen will go, and loss of lives will happen. And also, encroachment of floodways should be banned. Next one is by reduction of runoff by afforestation in catchment area. So we can reduce the flood and all by afforestation, so that lot of trees are planted, and as a result plants lot of trees will be developed, and as a result we can again manage floods. Okay. Drought, opposite to flood. What is drought? Scarcity of water. It occurs due to the scarcity of rainfall, late arrival of rains, and scarcity of water for normal needs. We can know the causes of drought. Deforestation once again came, soil erosion again, that we already discussed. High population is a result because we are cutting down the trees, we are building houses, we are building industries, we are building buildings and all, and as a result there will be nowhere there will be trees, and drought will occur. Intensive agriculture is another reason for drought, and annual rainfall, when it is below the normal, that will also cause drought. We can study the effects of drought in this slide. Hunger, malnutrition, and scarcity of drinking water. Drought. Once there is drought, we all will suffer from hunger. We all know will not get enough food. There will be no drinking water. Okay. Next is acute shortage of food due to crop failures. Again, I said because we can't get enough water to water the plants, water the crops, and how we will get the food. Next is desertification due to drought. The whole place will look like a desert. Retardation of industrial and commercial growth. The industries which are developed, which are depending on the agricultural crops, these are all get retarded, and the commercial growth also will be retarded. Next is degradation of natural resources. Natural resources will be degraded because there is no water available. There is no availability of this natural resource, and these natural resources are degrading because of this drought and all. So that is the effect of drought. How can we manage droughts? First one is rainwater harvesting program that we will study in detail in the next module. Next, afforestation by planting lot of trees and all. Next, construction of large capacity reservoirs. We have to store lot of water once there is rainy season, because we have to preserve this for summer season. When there is drought, it will be very easy for us to have water enough for our domestic purposes, industrial purposes, and agriculture purposes. Next, applying modern irrigation techniques like drip irrigation. Drip irrigation involves a little bit water showering to the plants, so that the plants will be always fresh, and because they will get enough water but not over water. So that is a modern irrigation technique that is applicable, so that we can manage droughts and the crops will be giving us vegetables. Okay. Now we can study the overuses of water. First one, unequal distribution of water leads to interstate or international disputes. Okay, we can study in detail. I will tell you. Interstate and international disputes are occurring. International disputes, the conflicts regarding water, overuse of water in India, that will cause conflict in Bangladesh, it will cause conflict in Pakistan, like that. We can study in detail. Unequal distribution of water leads to interstate or international disputes. International disputes include conflict over water from the Brahmaputra river between India and Bangladesh. Another example for international dispute is conflict over water from the Indus between India and Pakistan. Okay, these are all, we all know in TV, we have seen Kaveri issue and the Krishna river issue and all. So these are the national conflicts which include the sharing of Kaveri water between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu and sharing of Krishna river water between Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. So these are all the serious issues we have seen, and next we can study the problems of dams. The problems of dams: destruction of fertile agricultural land. It is explainable easily. You can just read it. Next is very costly, because once a dam is to be constructed, lot of expenditure is need to be spent by the government. Then again, rehabilitation will require a lot of financial help, as well as thousands of hectares of land for the settlement of displaced communities. Next, affect the migration and spawning of fishes. Loss of forest, flora, the plant life, and fauna, the animal life. Stagnation and waterlogging around dams, that is another serious problem. Next is landslides occur, sedimentation occur, and siltation occurs. So today we are winding up this part 2 of module 1. Module 1, there are a lot of types of natural resources. In the next slide, I will try to include 2 resources, and next we have to come into the ecosystems. So if you have any doubt or query, you can type in the comment box. I will be ready to clear your doubts. So thank you for today.